around you. Which also has a great meaning here, that this leniency comes from Allah. It's by the mercy of Allah. So that's why it's related to the foundation of the deen. And it's a gift from Allah that He will give someone this leniency in his heart, as it says, فَبِمَا رَحْمَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ. It's by the mercy of Allah. And then He says, وَبِالْخُلُقِ الْحَسَنِ وَطُمَأْنِينَةِ الْقَلْبِ وَرَحَتِهِ يَتَمَكَّنُ مِنْ مَعْرِفَةِ الْعُلُومِ الَّتِي سَعَى لِإِدْرَاكِهَا. One of the means to achieve knowledge that you want to attain is to do that with husn al-khuluq. Because when someone is having bad manners, he's always disturbed, he's always distracted. This person bothers him, he can't wait till he revenge from that other person, he's going through all kinds of things. So with the ilm, you need to have a heart that is empty from all of these types of things so that you will attain what is benefiting. So husn al-khuluq brings tuma'nina, tranquility to the heart, that makes the person able to attain the proper knowledge. والمعارف التي يفكر من تحصيلها, المعارف, all kinds of information that he wants to attain. And also وبه, with حسن الخلق, يتمكن المناظر والمخاصم من إبداء حجته. If you have to reach a state where you are debating with someone, or if it happens that you have a dispute with someone, having disputes doesn't necessarily mean that people have bad manners. This is part of life. You might have disputes with people. But with husn al-khuluq, it gives the person the ability, even if you have a dispute or debating and so on, that he will be able to express his position. You will have a hujjah. You will have authority over the other person with ilm, with knowledge, if you have husn al-khuluq. If you have knowledge only, you can lose the battle and you can lose the debate with someone, just even though you have more knowledge than him, if you have bad manners, if you're not upon good manners. With good manners, this is something that people even see when they look at the two opponents or whatever. If someone loses his temper, even if he's saying what is right, he loses. Right? So, and that's part of husn al-khuluq. So, and he mentioned this here. وَفَهْمَ حُجَّةِ صَحِبِهِ. And also not just to express your point, but also to understand the other side. And it doesn't have to be in debate with matters of deen. It can be with the ones that you live with, a husband and wife, for example. Right? If for a person to have good manners, he put himself into the position of the other. He wants to listen and to be in that position, to understand where they're coming from, and to try to think of it this way, and then he will be able to. All of that with good manners brings what is best. And as a result of that, it becomes guidance for him ila as-sawab, to be upon what is upright in speech and actions. All of that because of husn al-khuluq, not just because of knowledge, but because of husn al-khuluq. وكما أنه سبب لهذين الأمرين في نفسه فهو من أقوى الدواعي لحصولهما لمن خاصمه أو نظر. That this is also one of the means for these two types of things, in the tranquility and the heart and the knowledge and so on. It's also one of the very effective means to be in the issues of debates and things like this. And the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُعْطِي عَلَى الرِّفْقِ مَا لَا يُعْطِي عَلَى الْعُنْفِ. Allah gives for gentleness what He doesn't give with aggression. So gentleness, a person receives so much benefits with gentleness that he won't receive with aggression. Aggression, you think that you can get what you want immediately. You want someone to stop doing something, so you will al-ajala. Al-ajala is being in haste. Al-taish is when you do nonsense or you bring harm to yourself and others as a result of being in haste. And to be accurate, of course I'm not going to say numbers, but think of many of the problems that people have in their life is because of this, because being in haste. How many cases of divorce happens because of this hasty situation? I divorced a person will say he divorced his wife, what do I do now? That means he doesn't want to divorce her, but it happened. And then they try to figure out how to go back to each other again. It happened once and twice and 3 times. Right? So why? Because the issue of being in haste. And subhanAllah, as if the deen of Allah, that He made the divorce, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the divorce so easy with the word of mouth, because a Muslim is responsible to that extent. He's not supposed to be someone that says anything. We are supposed to be trained and purifying our hearts that the word has a value, and a word can take the person to Jannah, or a word can take the person to the hellfire. So if a person is like this, he's not going to just say things and doesn't know what he's saying. He has to make sure that he is taking his time to think. And it's very obvious nowadays, even with the times of fitan, al-ajal, or to be in haste, you might not be able to contain it after you already said it or done it. You can say something in haste to a brother or so, and you regret it and you ask him for forgiveness and things, inshallah, even though sometimes it becomes difficult, but he has to forgive. But nowadays you can be in haste, you get angry, and you write something and you send it. Right? And that's it. You can't bring it back. It's already gone to the east and west. Right? Or share something crazy, and it's all about being in haste. And one of the foundations of fitan, and that's something has to be always repeated. As more than one of the Sahaba and the early generations, they would say that أتى على الناس زمان, the early generations, كان خير دين أحدكم المتسارع. The best among you in his deen is the one that is in haste. Because everything is good, there's no fitan. Right? So this is what is good, do it. So you rush and you do it because you know for sure that this is good. But a time would come, وَيَأْتِي عَلَى النَّاسِ زَمَانٍ خَيْرُ دِينِكُمُ الْمُتَأَنِّي. The best of you in religion is the one that is muta'anni, the one that takes his time, that he does not rush. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded us to rush into seeking the forgiveness from Allah. وَسَارِعُوا, compete with one another, race with one another in matters of forgiveness and to the Jannah. And this is once you know that this is what Allah wants from us. But when it comes to fitan, especially with dealing with people, or what to say, what to do, how to act in this situation, don't be in haste. Right? Take your time, know what the best way to deal with it, as the people of knowledge, things like this. So this is also with fitan. Should I go to that place or not? Should I deal with these people or not? Don't think that everything sounds good, it looks good, it's good. No, don't be in haste. So one of the great benefits of having good manners is that the person will be saved from this. لِرَزَانَتِهِ وَصَبْرِهِ. When a person has good manners, he has al-razana is when someone is he's not, he's not in haste. People they keep on moving from one place to the other. Someone, for example, even in worldly matters, he doesn't know what he wants. Why? Because he's not giving things the proper place to think. So he studies this. After some months, I don't like this. Let me do something else. And then he do something else. And then he keeps on moving like this, and he ends up wasting so many years without doing anything because he gets bored quickly. Because he's in haste. He doesn't think of things. He does not take opinions of those who have more knowledge and things like this. It's all part of an ajal. And the same thing, people seek the knowledge. Everybody wants a 2-3 minute type of thing. They want in haste. They want to know the thing quickly. They don't want to take the time for it. And this is definitely something that takes away so much from the barakah and the blessings of things, and the sabr and things like this. Because there are so many different outcomes that comes as a result of it. And you have to, it's benefits that you want to attain and harm that you want to push away. And many times it's very complex and it's very difficult. So you have to make sure that you do it in the right way. Also, بالخلق الحسن, with good manners, it says, يتمكن من الوفاء بالحقوق الواجبة المستحبة للأهل والأولاد والأقارب والأصحاب والجيران والمعاملين. With good manners, you'll be able to fulfill the rights, that is obligatory rights or recommended rights, to the family, to the children, to the relatives, to the friends, to the neighbors, to those who you deal with, and all of the rest of the people that you have some form of mixing with, or rights that they have upon you. فَكَمْ مِنْ حُقُوقٍ أُضِيعَتْ مِنْ جَرَّاءِ سُوءِ الْخُلُقِ. He says, how many? There's so many. How many of rights have been ruined as a result of bad manners? So many things. It's basically, you can say this is the most common reason for rights to be denied is bad manners. And that shows the evil consequences of it. وَإِنَّ حُسْنَ الْخُلُقِ لَا يَدْعُو لِصِفَةِ الْإِنصَافِ. حُسْنُ الْخُلُقِ calls the person to have fairness. That's one of the basic qualities of حُسْنُ الْخُلُقِ. Al-insaf is to be fair. To be fair is that you like for your brother what you like for yourself. Not that everything is yourself and my benefit and what do I get from this relationship. What is the comfort thing for me in this? Life is not about this. Life is about being fair to others. And a person would never lose if he would make sure that he wants for others what he wants for himself. It doesn't take anything away from him. Especially those who we live with. And these are the people that you're living with, your home and so on. If it's only myself, then it becomes a miserable life. فإن صاحب الخلق الحسن يسلم غالبا من الانتصار لنفسه. To make yourself victorious, this is not good manners. We have to be patient with ourselves. So to always think that I won, I got my way. This is, everything is about oneself, self-centered, that everything is about himself. This is definitely all of the grounds for bad manners. So when someone is not his concern is to be victorious or to prove his point or to get what he wants, if this is not part of what his life is, then many things will be fixed in his life. Because صاحب الخلق الحسن, the one that has good manners, is always safe from al-intisar لنفسه, to make himself victorious. It doesn't matter if the one that is weaker than him is right and he is wrong. It doesn't matter that the wife is right and he's wrong. It doesn't matter that if his son is right and he's wrong. It's not going to make them in a better position or that you lose your hayba, your respect, your honor, that they won't listen to you anymore because you're wrong and they were right. This is all from the whispers of shaitan. And on the other side of those who think that they were right and the other side is wrong, that means they lose respect to those who are wrong. This is also evil and bad manners. So good manners is when the person, his goal is to attain what is right. It doesn't matter if it comes from someone that under his authority or someone above him, as long as the haqq, the truth is there. And we all should be seekers of the truth, regardless whether it comes from me or yourself. As Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah and others, these people, they were noble because of the deen of Islam. He said, مَا نَظَرْتُ أَحَدًا, I never debated with anyone unless I would wish that the haqq comes on his tongue, not necessarily from myself. So when people debate, they make even a contest of this, right? Who wins gets the prize. This is un-Islamic concept. Right? The concept is we want the haqq to come out. If there has to be a debate, the concern is the haqq. Whether the haqq comes from this side or that side, as long as the haqq, the absolute haqq comes as a result of that, this is what we're all seeking. So this is the issue of al-intisar lil-nafs, wat-ta'assub, to be prejudiced about something. This is husn al-khuluq, cleans all these things away. لأن الانتصار للنفس والتعصب يحمل على الاعتساف وعدم الانتصار. When you're always concerned about yourself, that you want yourself to, you're the one that is right, or things like this, makes the person not feel whatsoever. We see that feeling. Someone prejudiced about even his sheikh or his madhab or this or that, he's blind to see any faults, and he sees the faults of others, and he doesn't want to listen even. Why? Because of this arrogance and this unfairness that he has. And that's why those who have this, they are more likely to be guided than others. And you see that even in the lives of those who embraces Islam and things like this. They have this in them, they have that seed of being fair. They have this in themselves, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَإِنَّ صَاحِبَ الْخُلُقِ, he says, الْحَسَنْ فِي رَاحَةٍ حَاضِرَةٍ وَنَعِيمٍ عَاجِلٍ. One of the great benefits of husn al-khuluq, that you are in the present, in this life, raha. Raha is relaxing, is that you're not stressed or anything like this, and an immediate delight in this life. فَإِنَّ قَلْبَهُ مُطْمَئِنٌ وَنَفْسُهُ سَكِينٌ. His heart is in tranquility. And the whispers of shaitan tells you that it's going to be the opposite. But many things, it's not from you, which is another meaning of life. We keep on repeating this meaning. It's very beneficial because we tend to forget it. You don't have the capacity to bring about results as a human being. Your capacity as a human being is to fulfill the command of Allah. And that's it. So relax. Results is not in your hands. You just take the perfect means to perfect the commands of Allah and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from you. And leave the method to Allah. You will see amazing things. You will get what you don't expect. As long as you rely upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like this. I was mentioning yesterday the parents, and I would want to repeat this meaning many times, inshallah. The question that always comes up, if I take the phone from my child, what do I give him in return? Or what's the alternative? We have to do something. Or if I don't send my child to this party or birthdays, they would feel that they are less than others. So what is the alternative of this? We always think that we have to have an alternative to what people are doing, which is wrong. Right? We have alternatives, of course. I'm not saying that this is something completely to be avoided. But the basics of all of this is what? Is fulfill the commands of Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open ways that you do not expect. Right? And for example, Maryam alayhi salam, when she was devoted in worship, right? She was no fun or no entertainment or anything like this. Right? She was devoted in her mihrab, in her ibadah. When her mother, she made the dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave her a child to be in the service, and it was a female, not male. So she was devoted in her ibadah. And what happened as a result of that? She would never ever expect that she would get all kinds of provisions as a result of this. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, كلما دخل علي زكريا المحراب وجد عندها رزقا قال يا مريم أنى لك هذا قالت هو من عند الله إن الله يرزق من يشاء ويهدي. Every time he entered on al-mihrab, the place of salah that she's in, he finds rizq by Maryam. Fruits of the winter in the summertime, fruits of the summertime in the winter time there. He would say, أنى لك هذا, where did you get that from? She said, هو من عند الله. It's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah provides to whoever He wills without an account whatsoever. So was someone like Maryam alayhi salam miserable? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provided for her. But the concept of it is rectify or be righteous with what's between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will suffice for you all of these physical needs and fun and all of these types of things. It will be more pleasant than what you think. Far more goodness than what the evil ones are doing. And that's why truly, but those who rely upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their life of being pleasant is far more, not even in comparison, with those who have a so-called fun life or following their desires. And that's what the early generations of Islam, when they said, لو يعلم الملوك وأبناء الملوك ما نحن فيه. If the kings and the sons of the kings, they know what we are in, لقاتلون عليه بالسيوف. They would fight over this by swords. If they know how much delight that we have, they would try to fight us with swords to get it. But you can't. This is not money that they can take, or it's not something physical. It's in the hearts. And this is the owner of the hearts is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So nobody has control of your heart except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So as a rule is that if you want something from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you seek the pleasure of Allah. And you rely upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make in your heart what the entire world, if they know what's in it, they would fight to get it and they won't be able to get it. It's not about just the physical needs. But the lack of knowledge and the ajala, to be in haste and having less ability to think, even as we complain about that ourselves or the youth. What is the most thing is concerning to someone just finished childhood and is in the beginning of his adolescent years. He wants money, he wants status, he wants physical things. This is what it appeals to him. Why? He needs to have the patience and the ilm to know that this is not the most fun thing in this world. And people continue to be like this with ignorance. But if they fulfill the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they will see that the matter is much more beautiful than this. As in Hazm rahimahullah, in his book of Mudawat al-Nufus, very beautiful in the beginning. He writes in it the gist of his experience and his hikam and things like this. one of the first things that he says, that لا يعرف حكم أو كذا الشيئين إلا من ذاقهما, or more or less. That means that for you to be able to judge or to know which is good of two things, the one that knows this is the one that knows the taste of two things, both of them. But if you taste one thing and not the other, you won't be able to judge the other thing. Like if someone is asked what tastes better, watermelon or cucumber, for example, right? If you didn't taste both, you won't be able to judge. Right? So who's the one to be judged is the one that tasted both. So he was saying this why? He says the people of the deen and those who are close to Allah in the right way, those who repented to Allah versus those who are following their desires and dislikes and sins and so on. Who is the one to be asked about which is more pleasant? The righteous ones, because they know exactly what it feels to be physically following one's desire. But the other ones, they don't know what it means to be a repentant slave to Allah and a righteous one. So they are not to be the one to be asked, but rather the ones that are righteous, and so on. So this is the delight that a person would have, and the raha, and the pleasant. So yes, we should find alternatives and things like this, no problem as long as it's in the proper way, but we have to be careful because many of these alternatives are only a step before the evil step, right? So they make it seem like, for example, some of the cartoons, for example, they make things for the children, but it's of less quality, big time than the other ones, and it's very close to the other one. So the kids see it. It takes them to the evil one sometimes. So it has to be done in the proper way that you don't get them closer. Or someone says, I want to listen to music, so listen to nasheed. Or let people listen to nasheed because others are listening to music. So they will listen to the nasheed, and then they go to the music. It's a step closer, right? And it's what happened 50 years ago. People not having fun, not enjoying themselves. The enjoyment all of a sudden popped up in this generation that we live in. The same thing with the internet and so on. There's so much goodness in this life, but we are so much trapped by what's being mandated upon us. Which may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us, inshallah. We have still time? No. So he says, كَمَا أَنَّ سَيْءُ الْخُلُقِ فِي شَقَاءٍ حَاضِرٍ. The one with bad manners, he's always in a constant misery and وَنِزَاعَ ظَاهِرِي وَبَاطِنِي. Even if you don't see it in himself, but he's always in a struggle between his outside appearance and his inward actions and with his heart. مع نفسي وأولادي, with himself, with his children, and those who he mixes with his time. That's why he keeps on being in ghafla, in forgetfulness, and many of the good things will be missed. And as the Prophet ﷺ said, إن العبد لا يدرك بحسن خلقه أو لا يدرك بحسن خلقه درجة الصائم القائم. That the slave of Allah will reach with his husn al-khuluq the level of the one that is fasting and the one that is making the night prayer. Then he says, فإن قلت, if you say, إذا كان حسن الخلق له هذه الفضائل والآثار الحسنة فهل للإنصاف به أسباب يتمكن العبد من فعلها وهو مجرد موهبة. If حسن الخلق is, as we heard of just general terms like this of how beautiful it is فهل للإنصاف به, is to acquire these good manners, is there other means to attain it, or it's just a gift from Allah? Why this question is being addressed here? Because many people, they think husn al-khuluq is something that is just a person has good manners versus the bad manners because this is how his nature is. And definitely this is not the case. Some people are raised or born with some qualities. That's by the favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As the Prophet ﷺ said to one of the companions, إِنَّ فِيكَ خَصْلَتَانِ يُحِبُّهُمُ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ. You have two qualities that Allah and His Messenger ﷺ loves. Al-hilm wal-ana, forbearance, and al-ana. Al-ana is what we're talking about, that you're not in haste. So this is something that was in him without him acquiring it. It's given to him. He has it. So this is the bounty of Allah. But does it mean that those who don't have it, then they have an excuse? No, because they have to attain it. So if you are given one of these qualities, and each person has something. A person might be given ease to be patient in something than others Someone, generosity is easier for him than others. Things like this. And also the way that our upbringing and the environments that we're in, things like this. Some people when they live a rough life, they are rough, and they become with roughness in dealing with people. Is there an excuse to continue that way? No, it's not an excuse. They have to change and to live the deen of Allah. So he says, when the more we hear about husn al-khuluq and the text, you want to be upon these types of matters. So he says, فَلَمَّا اشْتَقَتِ الْقُلُوبُ When the hearts will yearn to want to be upon good manners, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala legislated for the people في بيان الأسباب. He made it very clear to them the means that would help the person to be upon husn al-khuluq. And again, when we say husn al-khuluq, this is a very general term. It's mentioned in a hadith like this, that comes under it many things. And these many things, if you have some and some not, you won't be able to be among those who have husn al-khuluq. Right? So if someone is generous and have patience, or whatever, he kinds to others and so on and so forth, but then when he's angry, he acts so foolish, this can ruin all of these good qualities. So husn al-khuluq, and that's why the exerting oneself, it's the whole package. Is all of these actions has to be applied. So therefore we have these means. وهذا جانب مهم. This is a very important aspect that every Muslim should be upon, that to be in this matter. So then the answer he says, ما من صفة حميدة ظاهرة أو باطنة. There is no good quality, whether it's outside physical action or something inwardly in one's heart, إلا قد يسر الله العبد حصولها. Allah had made it easy for the person to attain it. So if it's a good quality that we have in the Quran and the Sunnah, that means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it easy for people to attain it. وَنَهَجَ الطُّرُقَ الْمُصِيرَةِ, and He made the path to it very clear. وَأَعَانَ عَلَيْهَا بِكُلِّ وَسِيلَةٍ. And if you take that mean, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help you with all means. وَكُلَّمَا كَمُلَتْ الصِّفَاتِ, and the more the attributes or the characteristics are perfected, كَثُرَتْ الطُّرُقَ الْمُفْضِيَةِ إِلَيْهِ. The more these qualities are great, the more that you would find many different paths to it, which is part of the ease that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it easy. مع أن الغرائز والطبائع الأصلية أعظم العون عليها, even though one's innate makes it one of the great means to achieve it. We all want to be just, we all want to be good, and so on. وصاحبه إذا سعى أدنى سعي أدرك مراده. And the least amount of effort, a person would attain his end result, inshallah. So, but we have to put the mujahada and the effort. وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. Those who struggle in our path, we will guide them to our path. So, having that concern and asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for it, and as it will come, there's the dua, making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then we seek the knowledge of it. And there's a dua in the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, and the hadith is sahih as a general dua. And it's not sahih, it's not authentic in what people related to looking at the mirror. What do you see when you look at the mirror? Allahumma hassan khuluqi kama hassanta khalqi. This is weak. The weak part of it is that if you look at the mirror, but the dua is authentic. So dua is a general dua which is authentic. The Prophet ﷺ used to say that, but not when you look at the mirror, just in general. So, but if it happens that you look at the mirror, you see yourself, and you say, Allahumma hassan khuluqi, kama hassanta khalqi. MashaAllah, but don't believe that this is related to looking at the mirror. But the dua means, oh Allah, Allahumma hassin, oh Allah, make the goodness, my manners good, the same way you made my looks good. Right? And everybody looks good. There's no one that doesn't look good, because this is the creation of Allah. And Allah created each one the way that He created him, and He tested him with whether he looks according to people or according to those who live with him good or not good. This is by the wisdom of Allah. And sometimes what people define as good can be a misery for the person. Yusuf alayhi salam is good looking, he was given half of the beauty, was the reason for him to be in prison for 7 years. Right? And that's the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But it's, we don't know what's best for us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created each one with what is best for him. And everything is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the dua, to make dua to Allah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us good manners because it's all from Allah. Yes, it's time for the salah. To stop here, inshallah. All of that is related to what needs to be at home, inshallah. Yeah, so that it's not just halal and haram and things like this, but this is the foundation of the teaching. Sallallahu alaihi wa sallam. The other. After a chance,